Have you ever discovered something so unexpected, so quietly devastating, that it changed everything you thought you knew about someone? Not because they lied to your face, but because the truth was hidden in plain sight, waiting, on an old dusty tape in a box you hadn't touched in years. This isn't just a story about love, betrayal, or forgiveness. It's about what happens when two people slowly stop seeing each other, until one of them finally looks too closely. If deep, emotional stories like this pull you in, make sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know, and I've got plenty more just like this coming your way. Now let's begin. You know that feeling when something feels off. Not because of anything obvious. No loud clues, no broken glass, just a feeling. That's exactly what Evan felt on the evening of his 20th wedding anniversary. From the outside, everything looked perfect. Their home, a portrait of success, sat quietly in a high-end neighborhood, tucked behind manicured hedges and towering maples. Golden light poured across the stone path, reflecting off polished wood and glass. Inside, it was immaculate. Warm lighting cast a cozy hue over the hardwood floors. The fireplace, though unlit, stood proudly beneath framed abstract art, pieces Lena had collected over the years. Elegant, expensive. Everything had been planned to the second. The dinner table looked like a magazine spread. White linens, crystal glasses, vintage silverware, and a vase of deep red roses at the center. Vanilla candles flickered gently, blending with the scent of grilled steak and red wine. Evan stood back and tried to smile. He'd even dusted off the old VHS player and found a box of home videos. Tonight, he wanted to give Lena something nostalgic, something intimate, something that said, "I remember us." But deep down, something inside him stirred. A subtle dread, like his subconscious already knew something his mind refused to accept. He walked into the den, hands trembling slightly, and opened the box. Right on top, labeled in faded ink, "Wedding, 2004. He smiled, softly, as he slid the tape into the player. The screen buzzed to life, washed in the flickering fuzz of old video. There she was, Lena, young, radiant. Her laugh filled the room as someone adjusted her veil. Then she turned to the camera and smiled, like she was looking straight through the lens, straight into his soul. The vows came next, the cheers, the laughter, confetti in the air. Evan leaned back and sipped his wine. Maybe it was just nerves. 20 years is a long time after all. But then, the camera panned across the reception hall. And there, barely in frame, was Lena again, but this time she wasn't with Evan. She stood near a column, dimly lit, speaking to someone. A young man, maybe 19 or 20, tall, lean, wearing a white shirt and black vest. Lena's hands were on his chest. She laughed, then leaned in closer and kissed him. Not a friendly kiss, not a cheek peck, a kiss, slow, intentional, real. Evan shot upright. The wine glass tumbled from his hand and shattered on the floor. His pulse pounded. He rewound, watched again, and again. Each time, it was clearer, her smile, her touch, that kiss. He tore open the box. Tapes spilled across the floor. Honeymoon, Christmas, ski trip, dance recital. He scrubbed through all of them, looking for anything, a pattern, a second clue. But the rest? Just normal. Birthdays, laughter, vacations. Still, the damage was done, and then he remembered the gift. He walked into the kitchen where a small velvet box sat beside the wine. Inside, a car key fob, not just any key. A Mercedes convertible, sleek, silver, custom-ordered months in advance. It was supposed to be for someone he trusted. Now it just felt hollow. Before he could decide what to do, the front door clicked open. Lena stepped in, dressed in black silk, heels clicking softly on the marble. She paused, taking in the scene, the candles, the table, the wine. "Wow," she said, voice light with a hint of surprise. "You really went all out." Evan forced a smile. "It's our 20th. She walked closer, ran a finger along the glass stem. 20 years, she said slowly. Feels like a lifetime, doesn't it? There was something in her tone. Light, but sharp, like a needle wrapped in silk. "So, what's the real occasion?" she asked, smirking. "You're not usually this romantic. Can I do something nice for my wife?" "Of course," she said. "It's just unusual." She looked at him, teasing. "There's not some kind of announcement coming, is there?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. The alert he'd set for himself. "Hospital," he lied. "Emergency case." Lena frowned. "Tonight?" "Can't be helped." She sighed, then handed him a small box. "Before you rush off to save lives, open mine." He opened it, a watch. At first glance, it looked elegant. But when he held it, it felt off. Too light. Too thin. The branding was wrong. It was a fake. A $20 knockoff. He closed the box. "Thanks. That's thoughtful." She beamed. He grabbed his coat. "Don't stay too late," she called. And, "Don't think I forgot about my gift." Evan didn't turn around. "Oh, don't worry," he said softly. "I haven't forgotten anything." He stepped out into the night. That was the moment something in him changed. Evan sat in his car, rain tapping the windshield like a ticking clock. It had been days since he'd watched the tape. Days that felt like years. His world now felt uncertain. And Lena, his wife, felt like a stranger. Elegant, perfectly poised, but a stranger. That afternoon, she told him she was meeting her friend Nina for lunch. But when Evan messaged Nina with a casual, "How was lunch?" the reply was instant. "Lunch? Haven't seen her this week?" Minutes later, Lena exited a cafe across town, latte in hand, smiling down at the cup like it had whispered something intimate. Evan's eyes narrowed. The barista, young, early 20s, had leaned far over the counter when handing it to her. And Lena smiled back. That night, Evan did something he never thought he'd do. He created a fake dating profile, not to cheat, but to see who she really was, when no one was watching. He named himself Chris Dalton. Used a stock photo, crafted the perfect bio, 42, divorced, successful, looking for something real. He sent Lena a message. She replied the same day. At first it was polite, reserved, but by day 2, she laughed, asked personal questions, and, by day 3, she called herself a widow. Evan stared at the screen in disbelief. A widow? Not married, not separated. Widow. Was it a fantasy? Or had she emotionally buried him long ago? Soon, the messages turned flirtatious. Soft at first. Then, bolder. Sometimes I think about running away. Starting fresh. With someone who actually sees me. The words hit like a gut punch. And then, another crack in the mask. In an old home video from a family trip, Evan spotted something. Lena was sitting alone on a bench by the lake. A man approached her. Tall, clean-cut. She stood, smiled, and embraced him. Not a friendly hug, something deeper. Her hand rested on his chest as they talked. The camera caught just enough of his face. It was Grant, their mutual friend. Someone who had sat at their dinner table. This wasn't just infidelity. It was something worse. A hidden life. Evan didn't sleep that night, but he kept messaging her, as Chris. Until finally, he asked, "Coffee? Just once. Somewhere quiet." She agreed. Tuesday, noon, back corner of a small book cafe. Evan arrived early, waited, watched. Lena walked in, 10 minutes late. No makeup, hair loose, tired eyes. She took a seat, her phone trembling in her hand. Evan didn't approach. He couldn't. Instead, he left and drove for hours. That night, he didn't message her, or the next. And something strange happened. Lena changed. She grew quiet, nervous. Then, one evening, she approached him. "Can we talk?" He nodded. "I don't know what's happening to me," she whispered. "I feel like I'm drowning, like I don't recognize myself anymore." Her voice cracked. "You've always been good to me, but I don't feel like me anymore. Not the me I was when we got married." Evan swallowed hard. "Maybe I haven't seen you clearly. Maybe we've both been disappearing for a long time." She hesitated, then said the words he wasn't expecting. "I've been talking to someone, online. It started harmless, but I think I was using him as an escape." Evan looked into her eyes. "I know," he said softly. "I was him." Her face went pale. "What?" "I needed to understand what we lost." She didn't speak, didn't cry, just stared. That night they didn't fight, they didn't lie, they just sat, in the silence, together. Weeks passed. They began therapy, started talking. Really talking. One night, Evan found a tape in the attic, one he'd never seen, no label. Just dust. He played it. The screen lit up. It was Lena. Early in their marriage, no makeup, wearing his old hoodie. "Evan," she said, "you'll probably never see this, but I need to feel seen. I'm scared we'll drift. That one day we'll wake up, strangers." The screen went black. Evan showed it to her that night. She whispered, "I don't remember recording this." He smiled. Maybe it wasn't for the old us. Maybe it was for now. Some stories don't end with fireworks. They end with two people making the quiet, impossible choice to stay, to see each other again, after years of looking away.